Two worlds, separated by an ocean. One nation sits below sea level and has almost zero flooding deaths. The other sits on some of the most powerful rivers in the world and loses thousands of lives and billions of dollars every single year. The difference isn't geography. It isn't money. It's knowledge. And one question changes everything. What if the Dutch put their water engineering to work on West Africa's rivers? Let's start with context. The Netherlands, a country roughly the size of West Virginia, has 1/3 of its land sitting below sea level. Without human intervention, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, half the country would simply be ocean floor. So over 500 years, the Dutch did something extraordinary. They didn't just build walls against the water. They redesigned the relationship between land and water entirely. They built dikes, massive earthen and concrete barriers to hold rivers and seas back. They invented polders, parcels of land completely reclaimed from water, pumped dry, and turned into farms and cities. They engineered the Delta Works, voted the greatest engineering achievement of the 20th century, a system of dams, surge barriers, and sluice gates protecting the entire southwestern coast. And then there's their river transport network. The Rhine, Maas, and Scheldt rivers turned into the most efficient inland freight corridors in the world, feeding directly into Rotterdam, the largest port in Europe. Their modern philosophy? Room for the river. Stop fighting water. Guide it. Work with it. Give it controlled space so it doesn't take uncontrolled space. And while you're at it, make it work for you. Now look at West Africa. The Niger River is the third longest river on the continent. It winds through Guinea, Mali, Niger, Benin, and Nigeria, touching the lives of over 30 million people in its delta alone. The Volta River Basin covers 40% of Ghana. It's a lifeline for agriculture, fishing, and electricity. But every rainy season, these lifelines become threats. In 2022 alone, Nigeria's floods killed over 600 people and displaced 1.4 million. Ghana's northern regions flood repeatedly, wiping out entire harvests. And here's the real gut punch. These same rivers that destroy in the wet season, they're barely usable for transport in the dry season. Sandbars, shallow channels, unpredictable water levels. What should be natural highways connecting landlocked nations to the coast are instead, largely, wasted corridors. West Africa is not short on water, it's short on infrastructure to command it. So what would Dutch water engineering actually look like applied here? 4 pillars. First, polder systems in the Niger Delta. The Niger Delta is waterlogged, flood-prone, but extraordinarily fertile. Dutch engineers would identify low-lying zones, surround them with ring dikes, pump them dry, and create stable, arable land where there was once annual destruction. The Dutch did this to an entire sea, the Zuiderzee, and turned it into farmland and cities. Imagine that applied to the Niger Delta. Millions of acres, flood-proof, productive, year-round. Second, room for the river along the Volta. Move the dikes back. Create controlled overflow zones. Redesign riverside communities on elevated ground. Water gets its space. People get their safety. The managed wetland in between becomes a natural filter and one of the richest fishing ecosystems in the region. Third, smart sluice gates for year-round water control. Floods in the wet season, drought in the dry season. Same river. Dutch sluice technology solves both, holding water back during heavy rains, releasing it slowly when the land is dry. Stable water supply, consistent hydroelectric output. Farmers who can finally plan instead of just pray. Fourth, and this one is massive, river transport infrastructure. This is where it gets truly exciting. Look at what the Dutch did with the Rhine. They dredged it. They standardized channel depths. They built a network of locks and weirs that allow massive cargo barges to travel from Switzerland all the way to Rotterdam's port. Inland freight, no roads needed. Today, over 300 million tons of goods move through Dutch inland waterways every year. It is the economic backbone of the entire region. Now look at the Niger River. It stretches over 4,100 kilometers. It connects landlocked Mali and Niger, countries that right now pay enormous costs to truck goods overland to coastal ports. The journey is slow, expensive, and unreliable. With Dutch-style river engineering, systematic dredging, controlled water levels via weirs and locks, standardized barge routes, the Niger becomes a living freight highway. Goods from Bamako in Mali, from Niamey in Niger, could move by barge down to Port Harcourt or Cotonou at a fraction of the current cost. For landlocked Sahel nations, this isn't a luxury. It's economic liberation. Add the Volta River into the picture, connecting Ghana's northern agricultural regions to its southern ports, and you've just built the logistics backbone that West Africa's trade has been missing for generations. Lower transport costs mean cheaper food, cheaper goods, more competitive exports, more jobs. This is not a side benefit. This is a continental game changer. And before you say this is too ambitious, the Dutch are already doing it. Their Partners for Water program has engineered flood solutions in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Mozambique, and Indonesia. In Bangladesh alone, Dutch-designed embankments have protected millions and reclaimed hundreds of thousands of acres. The technology exists. The expertise exists. What's needed is political will, because the Niger passes through 9 countries. Managing it requires those 9 nations to agree on shared governance of the river. That's hard. But the Dutch had to do the exact same thing politically before they could do it physically. And they did it. It's not a question of can it be done? It's a question of when does the decision get made? West Africa's rivers built the Mali Empire. They fed the Kingdom of Benin. They were the original highways of trade, culture, and power on this continent. With Dutch engineering, they become that again, but at a scale those ancient kingdoms never dreamed of. Flood-proof farmland, stable water supplies, clean energy, and a river transport network that knits 9 nations together into a single, flowing economic engine. The Dutch looked at the sea and said, "We will not drown." West Africa can look at its rivers and say, "We will not waste what we were given." Subscribe for more, because the best ideas in history are the ones nobody tried yet.